This video is brought to you by Storyblocks Audio. Download unlimited music, sound effects, and loops for your next film project. More information in the link below. Whenever you're watching an action film, you see explosions, car crashes, actors jumping off buildings, and usually we think by ourselves, wow, those are some really cool visual effects. And although that is true, it are visual effects, but there's usually a team of stunt people behind every action. And, these guys are kind of a world on its own. We drove to Action Planet, an event location based above Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And here we had a meetup with the stunt team, the Berkelaar, and stunt department Belgium, led by Marco Maes. Now, these guys are not the average stuntman. Nope. This team has worked in Les Miserables, Brimstone, Mindhunters, and more. They have collected some of the best stuntmen in the world, and so some of them even performed in the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Inglourious Basterds, Dunkirk, Hitman's Bodyguard, Wonder Woman, etc. So it was a real honor for me to be invited. They're planning to crash 4 cars today as part of a test. And then we were the only camera crew there, which gave us a lot of flexibility. And what they're installing right here is called a pipe ramp. But in order to make the car crash exactly the way they want, precision is of the essence here.
We started to replace the pipe ramp so we can see if this is the right position. There are a lot of elements, the position of the pipe ramp, the speed what we can have, and also what the car will do. A small difference make a big change in what the car is doing. So it's a lot of thinking. What we're going to do now, we replace the ramp, we put the car also there, and we drive one time. Also we have some cones to have the perfect way, so we can see easily what we will achieve.
Filming a car crash is super important the way you do it. If you film it wrong or using the wrong camera angles, that camera crash won't look as powerful or even not really realistic. We've been talking to Marco, he's been giving us some great tips, and we've come up with the following camera shots. We got one camera sitting over there behind us. The car is going to roll towards us. We're shooting that on a long tele lens so that we are super close on the car when it's going to roll towards us. Hopefully it's not going to roll too far, because that'll mean that we have to jump to the side, but we're going to have a safety instructor with us while we're taking that shot. Then over there, we're going to have a side shot. We're going to shoot that on the red Gemini, so we can go in super slow motion with that camera and just have like a tight medium shot of the car coming in from the side. Then we got the last camera, actually a third camera over there, which is the Panasonic GH4, and that is going to capture the camera. The car is chasing super fast by the camera, and we're shooting that from a wide angle lens. It's going to be looking super cool. And finally, we got a little GoPro sitting right here on the ramp itself. Now, this camera right here is going to capture the car as it's diving through the sky, which is going to look gorgeous. And of course, the last camera sits inside of the car itself. We've noticed that shooting action scenes mostly comes down to a couple of things. Well, first of all, you have to make sure that you have enough camera angles so that you can cut fast. For a car crash, that means setting up multiple cameras. But when you're filming an actor running, for example, you could do, of course, the exact same thing. You could take multiple shots. We've also covered this in an earlier video, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. Now, the next thing is long lenses. Stand far away and zoom in. Doing so, you're going to compress your image. You're focusing more on the action. Your camera motion will also be more prominent, which sells the effect even more. And the third one is depth. You want to emphasize the power of the crash or the action. And a simple trick is to lay close to the ground and use the ground as a foreground element. The last crash that they did was a simple rollover. Although it wasn't actually simple, it just doesn't look as impressive as the pipe ramp. But here it was super important that we laid the camera close to the ground. And if you would advise us right now where to put the cameras now?
Yeah. Ideally, I would advise you to use a wide angle lens, low by the ground,
Okay.
but in a crash cage, so we can crash the car over it. So what I would suggest in an ideal world,
Yeah.
when GP does it right, you will come from here, and then you will hit the ramps with his right tire, steer in, and the car will roll over and end up somewhere in this area. So, huh? Oh wait, they're still rehearsing. So that's, it's not a big move
No.
compared to what you just saw with the pipe ramps, because a pipe ramp requires a roll cage in the car, and this is like a low speed turnover of the car without a cage.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but of course then you have to bring the speed back.
Of course, yeah.
So what's interesting is to fly parallel with the drone.
Okay.
Of course, in the right angle. I don't know what kind of lens, but you can have a look at it.
Yeah.
To drive parallel, and at the moment he goes over, come a little bit to the outside.
All right.
So because when the car comes near, it might hit your drone.
Of course,
So that's interesting, of course. And then a little bit further away, low by the ground, the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
On a telelens maybe further away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So it's kind of the same as with the previous, but now really low to the ground.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Nicholas, we've just done several beautiful shots of the car flying through the air and crashing into the floor.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still see that pipe ramp over there. How do you camouflage that, or what do you do with that in post-production?
Yeah, well, we do nothing, of course. The stunt department is just doing the stunt. But what most of the time happening is it depends on the scene. Most of the time we do some roadblock signs. What we will cover it when it's in some field. We have some forest pieces or grass or that kind of thing. Sometimes they put CGI in. They just cut it away.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a car parked also that is really blocked.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But
Clever.
road signs and road blocks kind of situation is you see it a lot of times.
Yeah, the most
Yes.
often.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, since we were in a testing area, it was hard to remove the pipe ramp and the people around and everything. And we also found out that we need to know up front which visuals you're gonna add in post. If, for example, you would add an explosion near the pipe ramp, we should have already added a real explosion in there, even if that was just like an explosion of wind. So we focused on something different, the editing and the sound effects. Now, we were very lucky to have filmed 3 car crashes from various camera angles, so I was able to pick out the best shots and still have plenty to work with. I wanted to show every shot for only a few frames and create a very fast-paced edit, which turned out great. And I remember one of the guys telling me that Belgian productions usually don't have enough shots because the budgets are much lower than in Hollywood, and that's usually the problem here. To make a car crash powerful, you need a lot of angles and a lot of shots. Maybe an interesting idea, next time that you see a car crash in a film, just count the amount of shots that you see. So then comes the sound design. I used Storyblocks audio to design the car crash sounds. They're also our sponsor for this episode, but if they didn't, I would still use their library because it's really incredible. For only a single price per year, you can download unlimited music, sound effects, and loops. I tried so many different sounds from their library, and when I thought that it didn't work, I could just go back and download a few other sound effects. It's really amazing. Plus, I also own the right to use anything that I download in commercial projects. So I can highly recommend to check it out as well by clicking that first link in the description below. And now, let's have a look at our very first car crash scene ever. So you're going to be the first crasher, if I can say it like that. Is this standard procedure for you, or are you a little bit afraid?
Not afraid. Yes, it is standard procedure, but we don't do this every week either. And every crash is different, every car is different, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to be focused for sure. I just really start focusing on the crash itself and the drive up and just that little part of the sequence. So you can see there's a lot of people here, a lot of stuff is going on. And the closer we get to actually doing the crash, the more I let everything go and just start focusing, making my world like really small.
Yeah.
In that sense.
How did you learn how to crash a car?
Honestly, crashing a car is not that hard.
Yeah, that's true.
It kind of happens by itself.
Yeah.
But I did precision driving courses in the States with Bobby Orr, stunt driving courses, do a lot of stunt driving, precision driving. So that's the car control that counts.
Yeah.
So if you can control the car, you know what it's going to do and how you want to hit the ramp.
Of course.
So that's what's important.
All right, awesome, and good luck, I'd say. Thank you very much. like these are super dangerous and requires perfect mind and body training. And one does not simply become a stuntman. So I invited Nicholas, one of the Stunt Guys coordinators, to chat some more. Nicholas, how do you become a stuntman?
Well, that's a long story, you know.
Can you keep it short?
Yeah, of course. No, it's funny because you say stuntman, and of course it is. I'm a stuntman. But nowadays we talk more about stunt performer. And the easy story from me is that I did an audition for Warner Brothers Police Academy stunt show.
Cool.
And they asked me, hey, can you do stunts?
Yeah.
And it was a no-go, of course. And because I am a performer, they said, no, you just do it because, you know, it's an audition. So I did a stunt audition because the show is stunts and performing. And of course, I can drive a car very well. I have drive a motorcycle all my life. I'm very sportive. I can do a lot of sports. So, you know, I can perform. So I did the audition and then I got the job. Out of 4,000 people, they picked out 30 people.
Wow.
And then I got trained 3 months for doing the show, learn all the skills for a stunt show, and that's how I became a stunt performer.
If I wanted to become a stuntman, do you have tips for me?
I have a lot of tips, of course. You know, it's the thing is you need to work hard. First of all, the motivation. You know, it must be a passion. You must be trained well. You need to find people who can train you. You know, nowadays you can watch YouTube films, and it's not a joke. In my time, you know, there's no YouTube. You know, be in shape, your body, and also your mind.
Are there maybe some kind of sports that are really important for being a stuntman?
Yes, of course. You know, stunt performing. You know, you need to have skills. You know, nowadays you have a lot of parkour people.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, in the early days, the free running stuff, and they're very good. You know, you see also in a lot of films, also especially the Marvel films.
Yeah.
A lot of people also come from fighting sports, you know, karate, kickboxing, and judo, jiu-jitsu. So when you want to do driving stuff, you know, do some driving training, go to do a rally course or something.
We've seen with the car crash that there was a safety team involved. Everything was coordinated very, very well. It also felt really safe.
Yes.
But I wonder, are stunts always super safe?
In stunt business, we always talk about a calculated risk.
Okay.
You know, and that means we try to downgrade the risk. We think the car is doing this, but sometimes a small change.
Yeah, there could always be a circumstance, like a small rock laying somewhere, always be something.
You know, that kind of thing. So there's always kind of calculated risk, but most of the time we know about the calculated. So we think, okay, this is risk, but we can handle the risk.
Yeah. Did you ever actually got injured badly, or someone in your team, or someone that you know, a stuntman?
Sometimes things happen, you know, big things with our stunt team. Not big things happening, you know, bruises, of course, you know, you know, it's normal.
It's part of the job.
It's part of the job. Sometimes maybe a broken wrist, you know, sometimes a broken leg also happening. Sometimes, you know.
Part of the job.
Yeah, part of the job. One time I had a big explosion, and you know, the explosion was really just a split second too early. I had some, you know, fire burn on my skin, but not the big thing. There are people who die with stunts, same as with you know, skydiving. People die with that. It happens also.
I'm hearing so many great stories right now. I'm wondering, what was your most memorable stunt that you've ever done?
One time, it was a long time ago, I did a bicycle jump. I was chased by a police in Utrecht, and there was a, you know, tourist boat taking off, and I was jumping to the boat and turned my bike and crashed onto the boat, and the smack, you know, it was like, and all the power from the speed, it was just onto my body. And there was, of course, I had protection, but you know, I had the weeks after, my body was hurting because of the impact. The impact was so hard. And then, and it was very funny, the director, very good, Nicholas.
Can we do it again?
Can we do another one? And I told him, no, this just was a one-taker.
And that's what being a stuntman is all about. Just another casual job. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you Storyblocks Audio for the support, and thank you Marco Maes for the invitation. I hope that we can work more together in the future because it was a really amazing day. Thank you so much. And as always, stay creative. Now let's talk about the roads in the Netherlands. They are very smooth, but there are 5 roads currently and the maximum speed is 100 kilometers. Welcome to the Netherlands. I'm stiff. Did they say that in English?